Good evening, Bashar.
And to you a good day.
Could you tell me what is the origin of the Catholic Church?
Origin of Catholic Church. Only in some aspects.
All right.
Idea, that particular religion derived from very ancient Druidic practices, remnant of Atlantean civilization, hierarchy, priesthood. Handed down misunderstood notions in many ways of the idea of hierarchy over congregation. Also immersed some in ancient Druidic rituals of connection to earth, many what you may call ancient, quote-unquote, pagan rituals, now embodied in what you may call Catholic ritual, and redefined to fit notions that were created by many different councils, many different leaders, many different members of what it ought to be sociologically, economically, politically. Mostly it is one of the offshoots, as is many of the other religions on your planet, of ancient Atlantean priesthoods, but went through a phase, redefinition through Druidic practices, and emerged in areas upon your planet that would support the definitions of intermingling of not only the ancient Druidic practices, but also some of the interminglings that took place a few of your 1,000 years ago with many, shall we say, Orion incarnations in certain levels, especially where rules, regulations are concerned, especially where structure is concerned, especially where what you may call very deep and heavy energy is concerned, was to some degree reaction to some of the negativity spawned in the sinking and the destruction of Atlantis, the idea of placing a very strong hold upon certain aspects of the will, so that through that belief it would be believed that you would regain connection to the infinite through suppression, through order, through domination. Understand?
Yes, I do.
Does this assist you?
Yes, it does.
Is that sufficient?
Yeah, that's all right.
Are you sure?
No, I'm not.
All right. What else would you like to explore?
Well, it's pretty popular belief that there's a certain person in history who instituted that, commonly known as Jesus.
Oh, no, no, no.
No?
The individuals around that individual have instituted it to some degree, not that individual. That was never the intention of that individual. But you see, the idea is, at that point, the individuals, which you may call disciples and apostles, were also full of the knowledge of some of the ancient Druidic practices at that time. And simply their interpretation of what you call the Jesus, the association, the Christ consciousness was dispensing, was interpreted according to some of those ancient practices, those ancient understandings, and interpreted through that flow line into the basic structure you now have. That was their understanding at the time of the arrival, the projection, the intersection of the Christ consciousness through that particular manifestation. It was not the intention of the Christ consciousness to establish that particular type of structure. It was the intention of the individuals surrounding that individual, because that was their understanding at the time, based on what they already had learned of some of these ancient practices. And they were simply, to some degree, in their own understanding, continuing the lineage. But there was much misinterpretation. Or shall we simply say, interpretation of the times. Understand?
Yes.
Does that help you?
Yeah, it does. If this individual, Jesus, had manifested himself on, say, a different location on the planet.
It did. Not specifically what you may call the Jesus, but the Christ consciousness has manifested on your world many times physiologically. It is also known as Buddha nature and many other names. Native American, Wavoka. Many, many manifestations have taken place, including what you call your physiological Mary, the female polarity of the Christ consciousness. Yes?
All right. Yeah, you answered my question before I asked it.
Thank you!